Hi guys, Virginia here and I'm back with another 12 by 12 process video for you today, and this one's for the Kitaholic Kits design team using the gorgeous August kits. So this layout is one that I've had in my head for quite a while. I've been planning on doing it, haven't quite found the time, and these kits just been absolutely perfect with it, well, with the idea. So I'm just going to do it for this. So the cut file I'm using, it's one from my Etsy cut file shop. It's some umbrellas, and I do pull in some nylon and some clear little almost seed beads. They're a little bit bigger than seed beads for the interactive portion of this layout. So I've got these 3 umbrellas. I'm going to go ahead and back them with some of the pattern papers from the kits, and I'm just kind of using the trace method. I'm tracing the inner portion of the cut file and then cutting just outside the lines, and then I'll just erase that pencil mark and stick it to the cut file. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly back that cut file. I'm not going to make you watch the entire process because this video is sped up 4 times, but it was extremely long. So yeah, so we'll skip 2 very shortly, hopefully. Yeah, so these kits, this month's kits, are based around the Pink Free Studio Just a Little Lovely collection. It's absolutely stunning, and I love all the watercolour effect on a lot of these papers, so that's why this idea kind of worked perfectly with the cut file and my photos. The photos are of Edison. She's sitting, I'm pretty sure this was summer. I have to go back and check, but I'm fairly sure this was the time, and we had a really hot summer and we were desperate for rain. And we finally got some rain, just a little bit. So she's sitting there with the doors open and just watching the rain because it was just so hot. And yeah, so it's just a funny little, well, not really funny because we really needed the rain, but it's just a nice little moment, just her sitting there relaxing, watching the rain. It's not very often that little kids sit still and are quiet, are they? Yeah. Okay, so I want to try to work in this interactive portion, which is these little raindrop type effect with the nylon and the beads, but as you would have seen, I've kind of flicked through the pattern papers. The one I originally had an idea for, once I put the cut file on, I didn't particularly like it, so I thought I'd have a go at making just my own little background, just a small portion of what looks like a bit of a watercolour or splash, I guess, on the background. So I just used I put the cut file and the photos in place and just did kind of like a rough pencil line of where they're going to be, and then I'm just going to watercolour and basically the portion between the umbrella and the cut files where I want my rain to come falling down the page, if that makes sense. You'll see as we go along. I'm just using some Prima watercolours. I think I've got a pastel one, and then I think the other one may be the tropical palette, or it could be classic, I'm not sure. I think it's tropicals, but I'm just using a mixture of the blues and greens from the pastel palette, and then a darker blue just to add a bit more oomph to the blue from that darker palette. So I've just popped a whole lot of water, and I've done some splatters as well and just kind of smushed it on. Now I didn't gesso my paper. I don't particularly like the look of gesso on paper. So I just left it, and I knew I wasn't going to completely saturate the entire page. It was just going to be a small portion of it, so I thought I'd get away with it, and I did. If you keep working at something and keep moving moisture and liquids and sprays and stuff around on the page, you will damage your paper a lot, and it will buckle a significant amount, and you can often even tear it. But I didn't work with the watercolours much. I just kind of put the colour down, spread it a little bit, add a little bit of water if necessary, just to make it bloom a bit more, and then I left it, and my paper was fine. There was a slight little bit of warping, but I fixed that very shortly. Yeah. Okay, so my watercolour is dry. I did splatter some gold Liquitex acrylic ink in it as well before it dried, just so that some of that gold could spread and bloom out into the watercolour as well, which I love that look. And I've just put my cut file back in place, and I am backing it with foam. Now I'm making sure to make provision for the fact that I want these nylon strings to run from the photo and from behind the cut file as well, and so I've left a gap behind the photos and the umbrellas so that that string and those beads can kind of hide either beneath the umbrella or beneath the photo. And you'll see once I pop it all down, I've done a single layer. I decided it was probably smart to do 2 layers of foam for this so that the beads could move really freely between the photo and the umbrellas and not get caught. Because that's the whole fun of this design, is that the little clear beads will disappear behind either the cut file or the photos. So it's like a nice little thing. If you tilt the page, they just kind of pop out and drip down the page. Okay, so I'm moving all of my cut file and photos aside, and I'm going to start on this kind of mechanism, if you want to call it that. It's not really much of a mechanism. It's just threading some nylon through the page, and I've kind of situated or decided where I want the strings to start behind my cut file, and I'm going to do 5 strings, I think I did, and I just did a line beneath where that cut file where I want the nylon strings to start, and I've pierced 5 holes, and then I've popped a little line of double-sided tape beneath those holes on the back, and I've threaded that nylon through those holes and just kind of pushed it into the double-sided tape and added another layer on top. So they are fixed in place at the top, and now I'm just pulled them down just to where I want them to land behind my photo, and I've pierced some holes, but I didn't realize until after that when I add about 6 or 7 beads onto those strings, which I've gone ahead and done, they're not going to fall enough behind my photo, so I do end up piercing holes further down beneath my photo. So now I have thought about it a little bit more and realised that if I don't prop those nylon pieces up just a little bit off the page, those beads won't move freely. So I decided to go for 2 layers of foam, and here I am thinking, okay, those holes need to come down, so I've moved that adhesive foam down, and I'm just re-piercing some holes, and I'm going to thread the ends of those nylon strings through. So you can kind of see it looks kind of almost like a guitar, but that foam is allowing those nylon beads to move freely up and down the page. But because I have my cut file up on 2 layers of foam, these nylon strings are going to be the same height as my cut file. So those those seed beads, if you're understanding with me, hopefully I haven't lost you, those nylon strings and those beads are going to get caught on the cut file. So I do realise very quickly I need to remove a layer of foam and just have 1. So there we go. We're taking it back down to 1 layer, and they should theoretically move freely underneath my cut file and my photo. So I'm just having to tighten those strings. I haven't put an extra bit of tape on top of them yet. I wanted to make sure that the mechanism, if you will, worked, and it does. So now I'm just going to adhere down those bottom strings properly, just making sure there's a bunch of tape on there so they're not going to go anywhere. And then those second pieces of foam I just popped on top, and that's kind of keeping those nylon strings in place as well. So quite happy with that. And my beads go up and down really nicely. They do stick a little bit at the top because of that adhesive on the foam, so just a bit of powder from your anti-static tool, or baby powder, it's the same thing, will help to take that stick away. So there we go, I can start building the rest of my layout now. So I'm going to pop my umbrellas cut file, yeah, in place. I'm just using ATG tape because then I know it's going to stick. So I'm putting a bunch of that all over the foam, and I'm making sure not to put any glue where those beads need to fall behind the cut file. And the same with my photos. I want to make sure that there is no tape where those beads and those nylon strings go, so just around the foam. And I don't know what I was thinking here. I'm trying to use my ATG on a tiny bit of cut file. There we go. We'll use a bit of double-sided tape instead. So there we go. They're all glued down. My beads go up and down beautifully. And I'm thinking the white cardstock is a bit too white. I'd like to border it with something. This seems to be my thing lately. So I'm just going to quickly look through the pattern papers. I did like the idea of this light blue tiled one, but it was a bit too, the pattern paper was a bit too structured and heavily designed, if that makes sense, for the rest of the colours and stuff that I had on the layout. So the umbrella's really soft and watercolour like, and then I've got this watercolour like mixed media background, and then this really heavily patterned border just wasn't working. So I went for this gorgeous rainbow watercolorish type pattern paper. This was from my first layout that my Cameo hacked up the center of it, so I thought this was a good use of the border, and I've still got some of that paper from the inside, which is great. So I've just cut it to a 1-inch border. I've trimmed down my white cardstock. I've trimmed 1 inch off 2 sides, and then I've just adhered it to that border on the background. So now I can start embellishing, the fun bit. I didn't really have much of an idea of where I was going to go. I knew I should put my title down pretty quickly so I don't design myself out of a space for that, which is something I really regularly do. So I'm just going to, I love these puffy stickers, the scripty ones and the little ones. So I'm going to have Enjoy the Moment as my title. I liked the purple, it was a really pretty colour and gave me an opportunity to use those little mini puffy stickers in the shades of purple and stuff, because I've used the pinky yellowy side. So I'm just putting my little puffy word up the top. It sits nicely on the top of that umbrella, and then I'm going to finish off the title with these little mini puffy stickers, and there's my title done. Okay, so just flicking through the die cuts, there's just, look at this container, it's just packed full of just so much stuff in these kits. It's just absolutely crazy. Plus I fussy cut out a bunch of florals, which you can see to the left of that container there. I love florals. And then there are also 2 sheets of cut aparts as well that came with the kits. They are just, yeah, just crazy, the amount of stuff you get in the kits each month. But yeah, everything goes beautifully. Rightio, so I'm just pulling out some bits. Those 2 pink florals are ones that I've fussy cut off. So these are the cut aparts. There's actually 3 sheets. I apologise. There's 3 sheets this month. I wanted a bit of green, a really nice soft green. So I pulled out one of the labels, or cut off one of the labels from the cut apart sheet. And I'm just going to use the green for a pop of green beside my photo there. I did cut apart a dark purple one, which I'm just going to layer them together just for a pop of interest, and just kind of start embellishing. I really like the idea of a few little clusters of flowers, nothing too big. So I'm going to just eventually decide on what flowers I want there. There was this little die cut. It had a funny kind of geometric type frame around it. I wasn't particularly in love with it, so I just cut the frame off and kept the phrase. And it just says everyday stories are my favourite, which I thought was nice. The same with this die cut. I liked the sentiment, but I didn't particularly want it for this layout, so I cut that textured portion off the top of it. So I've still got the sentiment, which is great, but I can use that textured piece on something and not waste it anywhere. So I've tucked it above that right hand photo, and now I'm just bringing in some flowers now. I've finally made a decision on the direction that I want to go in. So some of these have been fussy cut off one of the pattern papers, those little pink ones, and those little tiny leaves as well. And actually both of those little flower clusters, the one directly at the bottom of the photo and the one at the top of the umbrellas, they were fussy cut off the cut apart sheet as well. So great use of that. I'm adding a few puffy stickers as well in the form of florals, and I'm going to glue everything down. Rather happy with it. So that's all done. I really like the balance that I've got going on, and those beads, so cute. I love this layout. I'm just going to add a few of these little phrase stickers. So I'm going to add one up the top, the umbrella, and it says "This is real life," which it is. And I just popped that up on some foam squares, and then another one down the bottom saying "Loving the Simple Life," which I'm just going to tuck beneath that left hand photo. I did try to get one of these banners on, but it was just going to start dominating the page if I add more. The same with these epoxy stickers. And this I kind of worked them into the cluster as I was building it. I didn't think it was going to sit very nicely. So enamel dots it is, because they came in the kit. So I'm going to add 3 little pops of them in all different colours. I'm still playing with those beads, and I do bring in a couple of these little puffy hearts from, I think they're Bella Boulevard. They've been on my stash for a very long time, but these are one of my stash items that I pulled to work with the kit this month. So just 2 of them, and then that's it for my layout. So I hope you enjoy the process. I'd be curious to know whether you've made any kind of interactive scrapbook layouts before. It's really fun to do. But yeah, if you want to check out the kits, links in the description box below. Until next time, bye guys.